Money Supermarket.
Philip Schofield here. Did you know WeBuyAnyCar.com can help settle any outstanding finance on your car? They just sort it all out for you. And did you know you can't hum whilst holding your nose? No, me neither. Not as useful as settling outstanding finance, but good to know. Take the hassle out of selling your car and enter your reg number now at WeBuyAnyCar.com.
Admin fee may apply. For more information, see WeBuyAnyCar.com/info.
Tuesdays at KFC gonna get you like, wow, pow, chow, kapow, get down right now. If you know how, then take a bow. Cause this deal's gonna raise a brow. Get 9 pieces of original recipe chicken for an eye-popping $5.99. What the? Every Tuesday at KFC. Participating restaurants ends 18th of August 2020. Tuesdays only, subject to availability, not available online.
You never know what's around the corner, but at least we can take the pressure off replacing that dodgy boiler. Get a quote for a new one with British Gas and choose to pay nothing for 3 months with interest-free credit for 2 years. You'll also get £150 off or £350 off if you're an existing British Gas home care customer. Offers end August 31st. British Gas, here to solve. Search British Gas new boiler. Conditions apply. British Gas New Heating Limited is a credit broker and uses a panel of lenders.
This summer, Amazon delivers you the Premier League.
This is the league we want to watch!
With 4 games, live and exclusive, and totally free.
Oh, wow!
Including Sheffield United v Everton on the 20th of July. Coverage starts at 5:30pm.
Gets a shot away! Brilliantly taken! Sensational!
Amazon Prime Video, delivering the Premier League.
Let's face it, it's not been the year we expected. But that won't stop us squeezing the barbecue out of the shed, all squeezing onto one table, leaving room for the odd unexpected guest, down boy, while not forgetting to squeeze out every last drop of sunshine, or every last drop of Heinz. Heinz sauces, squeeze the most out of summer.
Wednesday evening, live Premier League football. Newcastle versus Spurs. Coverage from 5:30. Kick-off at 6 on TalkSport.
On DAB+, online, via the TalkSport app and on your smart speaker. EFL Live on TalkSport 2.
Very good evening to you. This is Russ Williams. Couple of minutes past 7. More live football coming up for you now here on TalkSport 2. It is EFL Live, and our next game features 2 teams who've both lost their last 2 games, and they both really need a win tonight.
Tomlin, the time's a peripheral figure, can't get there, but Flint plays it forward. Here's Murphy on the break. Glatzel's in the middle. Didn't need it. Murphy scores. Cardiff lead. But it's Rooney who kills it right-footed. Oh! That is absolutely magnificent from Wayne Rooney. It's Tomlin who kills it right-footed. And it's absolutely outstanding from Lee Tomlin. And Cardiff City have redemption. Into the area, big chance. Patterson lays it off for Martin. And it's 1-1. Chris Martin, the substitute, has struck in injury time. It is the ultimate smash and grab from Derby County.
Cardiff City against Derby County kicks off at 7:45. Lots of football happening tonight. We'll keep you well and truly across it. Let's go to the Cardiff City Stadium and say good evening to our match commentator Ian Danter. How are you doing, Dant?
Very good, thanks Russ. Good evening to you. So Cardiff 3 points ahead of their visitors tonight, the Rams, with 3 games to play. Both sides on the back of back-to-back defeats, but Cardiff still grimly hanging on to that final playoff spot. And Derby, despite only being 3 points behind, are in 10th. Just goes to show you just how tightly congested it is in the race for a place in the playoffs. Let's give you the team news straight away, Russ. 3 changes for Cardiff City from their defeat at Fulham last Friday night. Lee Tomlin gets a rare start. Marlon Pack and Robert Glatzel are also recalled. They'll keep the 4-2-3-1 formation. Alex Smithies will be the Bluebirds goalkeeper. Leandro Bacuna will switch to right back. Sean Morrison, Curtis Nelson and Joe Bennett make up the rest of the back 4. And then Joe Rawls and Marlon Pack holding midfield in front of then Nathaniel Mendez-Lang, Lee Tomlin and Junior Hoylett in behind Robert Glatzel, who missed out in that defeat at Craven Cottage from the start. As for Derby, interesting team news for them, Russ, is that Philip Cocu has elected to change goalkeepers. Ben Hamer had a moment to forget at Pride Park against Brentford on Saturday lunchtime, and he has paid with his place. Keller Rose is back in the starting lineup, breather first for Derby. The other two changes see Evans and Bogle drop out. That means Forsyth and Curtis Davis come back into the starting lineup, and there is a place on the bench for the fit again Jack Marriott to add to Derby's striking options. Keller Rose then is the goalkeeper, and then Max Lowe, Matt Clark, Curtis Davis and Craig Forsyth in a back four. Wayne Rooney and Max Bird will be the holding midfielders, and then Jason Knight, Louis Sibley and Tom Lawrence in behind Chris Martin up front. Remember, top scorer Martin Waghorn still suspended for the Rams. We are ready for a 7:45 kickoff, and this should be a cracker, Russ.
Yeah, it should be. Thanks, Ian. Sam Parkin alongside Dance this evening. Evening to you, Sam.
Hi, Russ.
So I said at the little intro, you know, both of these teams have lost their last two. Both of them need to win tonight. Should Derby County lose, I don't want to be negative for all their fans listening, I mean, their playoff hopes will be badly diminished, won't they?
Yeah, I think it's slightly more important for Derby County. If they could get maximum points, puts them in with a real shout. I think if you look at the games, Cardiff will know if they can get a victory this evening. With Middlesbrough and Hull City, their last two games, two teams engulfed in relegation trouble, I still think Cardiff will really fancy themselves, and they have to be favourites given that they're playing two teams towards the bottom end of the table. But for Derby, with Leeds on the horizon, they have to win this game. I don't think a point's enough, and after the last couple of performances, both teams are going to have to show good resilience to bounce back.
Yeah, but the goalkeepers paid the price for Derby County. Is it a risk or the right decision, do you think?
100% the right decision, I think. Unfortunately, Ben Hamer's been found wanting on too many occasions this season, cost them a number of goals, and I do believe it's one of the major reasons why Philip Cocu's first season hasn't been more successful. I think he's done okay, and I think we're starting to see his brand of football really come to fruition. But I think with a real number one, I'm talking about last season as well under Frank Lampard, I don't think Scott Carson was particularly good. I don't think Keller Roos has filled them with complete optimism moving forward, and now the problems with Hamer as well. So I think it's a real problem area, and one that needs to be rectified in the summer.
Cardiff City, it's amazing, Dance, because Neil Harris, has done really well since he's come in, as we know, unbeaten in their last three games, but their home record, it's baffling. They've won just 2 of the last 11.
That's right. Was it 9 wins, 9 draws, 3 defeats? They're 7th in the home league table, which isn't a bad record, but they drop points here a bit more than they should. Unbeaten in 11 of 13. There's too many draws, basically, Russ. Although, of course, we were here last week, weren't we, when Blackburn came here and went 1-0 and 2-1 down, but then a terrific reaction from Tony Mowbray's men, that they ended up with all 3 points with that extraordinary Adam Armstrong goal in the second half, which really took the wind out of Cardiff's sails, and then they went down to Fulham on Friday and surrendered all too easily. So this is a big night for Neil Harris and Cardiff too, because he knows that all these teams are breathing down their neck now. Somehow they're still 6th. Having lost on Friday night, Neil Harris probably would have imagined that Cardiff City would not be in the playoff positions come tonight's game, but that's how it's worked out, because pretty much every result bar Millwall's went their way at the weekend. So perhaps they'll use that as motivation tonight.
Maybe. Sam, Neil Harris just said, look, if we stay unbeaten in our last 3 games, but we win 2 of them, that'll be enough to get us in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think he's right. I saw them at Fulham last week and they were really poor. Actually, Fulham played pretty well on the evening. Cardiff improved when they brought Tomlin and Glatzel on towards the end of that game, and that's the way he's starting. So I think it's a more attacking lineup for Cardiff. I think Neil Harris knows and would want to get those 3 points on the board straight away with those 2 quite pleasant fixtures to look at forward to. But yeah, I just felt that Fulham's form has been a little bit dodgy. They've flattered to deceive a little bit, picking up wins, but I felt Cardiff could have afforded to be a little bit more attack-minded. Tonight, he is going for it, and Derby have responded in turn, because with Davis coming back in and Forsyth, that is with an eye on the aerial bombardment, the set pieces that you get down here in Cardiff, and that will be forthcoming. Don't you worry about that. They'll put the ball in the box. The long throws will come in. They put you under pressure, and they'll want to get back to winning ways here in Cardiff.
And it's the first start for a while for Lee Tomlin, isn't it? So it's going to be interesting to see how he does. I mean, Robert Glatzel, we know, Dance has got a goal in him, but Lee Tomlin could be extremely useful tonight.
Well, he's had sub appearances in every game since we've come back for the restart, and clearly Neil Harris, I mean, he's a lot fitter than he was when I saw him play for Peterborough last season in a cup tie at Chelsea. He was obviously that night carrying a bit of timber, and he's never been, you know, a completely cut individual in terms of his fitness. But I think the substitute appearances will have stood him in good stead ahead of tonight, and given the need for Cardiff to keep the others at bay, I think his creativity and ability to pick a pass, I think Sam's already, you know, referred to that, really, just how creative he can be. I think that's big for Cardiff tonight. One thing you could have levelled at them from the defeat here that we covered last week to Blackburn was that final pass just wasn't quite there for them. So that's where Tomlin excels, particularly in the position that he's playing tonight, in that little hole in behind Glatzel up front.
Sam, as I was saying a few minutes ago, both of these teams have lost their last two back-to-back. How does mentality, if at all, come into this, and confidence when you know you've lost your last two games and you know that you've got to play a big game tonight with a lot riding on it?
I don't think it'll be affecting the confidence levels too much, Russ. We're in such uncharted territory. I mean, the players won't have experienced anything like this before. You'll be on the training ground so briefly in between the games that, you know, I think the players will just be going out there and hoping to play to their maximum. Understandably, you know, some games have taken a while to get going. We've seen some really drab halves, and I think it took the forward players in particular a few games to get into their stride, their final ball, the little finishing. You know, when you haven't been training for a month or, you know, 6 weeks or whatever it was, I'm talking about in a team environment, it amazes me how quickly you lose that touch. So I think the players will still be experiencing some of these feelings, these emotions that, you know, occasionally you're going to get a poor performance. And yeah, I think they'll go into it tonight. They'll know what's at stake, but they'll know that there's a degree of randomness still to it. And some of these teams that are circling, your Prestons, Millwall, Bristol City even have put a little run together after we'd completely written them off. You know, it's not going to be obviously completed until a week tomorrow, I think it is. So plenty of football to go. They'll just want to win tonight. Get in for the warm down and start focusing on the next game. That's all you can do, I think.
Philip Cocu, Dance at Derby County, is nurturing some fine young talent, isn't he? Louis Sibley is playing tonight. People like Max Bird, Jayden Bogle, Jason Knight, Morgan Whittaker. If they don't get into the playoffs this season, there's no question that he won't be at the club next season, is there?
You just can't. You can't even second guess these days. Obviously, they didn't want to lose Frank Lampard. They would much rather have had a second season with Frank, but the Chelsea offer was just too irresistible for Frank Lampard to take. Now, you know, Cocu is, you know, he's got them on the verge of the playoffs again. Of course, they were involved last season, but it's all down to Mel Morris and the board and how they feel the club has moved on, and whether the introduction of that young talent is sufficient to give Cocu another go. His last job in football didn't go well at all at Fenerbahce. I think it was only 3 wins in 15 that he had there, and he was gone by the October of the previous season. So this is better. You know, it's more consistent. And then there's the Wayne Rooney factor, isn't there, Sam? You just wonder whether Wayne's kind of lurking in the background, thinking, no, you know, Frank's had a bit of this, I could have a bit of this as well.
I think they'd be mad to get rid of him, to be honest. I think we're starting to see the fruits of his labour now, Dance. The early part of the season, even, you know, towards Christmas time, I was thinking, what exactly is Philip Cocu trying to do with this Derby County side? But I think we're seeing it now. By all accounts, nothing changes on the training ground. He wants to play heavy possession-based football. The young players have taken a little bit of a while to adapt, but now they've picked it up. They're thriving under him. I'd like to see what he can do in the transfer market. I think he'll have his ideas about what type of player, maybe from the continent, that he'll want to bring in to improve this squad. And I think the signs have been good in the last few weeks. Not the last couple of games, but since the restart, there's been some fantastic performances, in particular from the younger players.
So we're at the Cardiff City Stadium, second of our 2 live games from the Championship tonight. It is, of course, after West Brom 0, Fulham 0, Cardiff City against Derby County. Couple of Championship games, half-time right now. Reading 1, Middlesbrough 1, and one of the teams who I put in my cheeky gamble responsibly treble, Wigan 7, Hull 0. And the fun stopped for me when about the 4th goal went in for Wigan. But there you go. What an incredible half-time score. 7 goals up, Wigan against Hull City. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. There'd be more than an inquest there. Anyway, we're looking forward to the game. Cardiff City against Derby County. Ian and Sam are going to take you through it. We kick off at 7:45.
On DAB+, online, via the TalkSport app, and on your smart speaker. EFL Live on TalkSport 2.
Give yourself a Diet Coke break.
This summer on Disney Plus, think big. Like Disney Plus Big. Incredible exclusives like Artemis Fowl.
Artemis, all of your training has led to this.
Plus Maleficent, Mistress of Evil. Plus massive movies like Frozen 2.
I'll bring the snack!
Plus so much more.
Any questions?
All for the tiny price of just $5.99 a month.
I think they got it.
Disney Plus. All these and more streaming this summer. 18 plus subscription required. T's and C's apply.
Now then, Big Mac or Chicken McNuggets? Did you know you can order ahead contact-free by downloading the My McDonald's app? Simply select some of your favourites from our reduced menu and we'll start preparing them when you're nearby. Nice. From 11 a.m. to 10 p.m, participating restaurants only, app T's and C's apply.
It's time to look forward to that first dip in the pool, to getting back to what really matters, and to someone else doing the cooking for a change. Look forward to the warm sea breeze against your skin, to carefree days and new adventures, and to smiling from the second you land. Welcome back to looking forward. Welcome back to TUI. Discover your smile at All Protected.
Martin here runs his own building business. He's got a tool for everything. Nail gun for nails, screwdriver for screws, and QuickBooks for finances. QuickBooks makes doing his tax return easy, automatically checking for the most common errors. Martin hardly has to lift a finger. Well, maybe one.
Visit quickbooks.co.uk for details. Intuit QuickBooks.
For the last few months, Suzuki dealers have been stuck at home like a lot of us. Swara broke her PB for the 10K. And Paul has started yoga. But now they're back and ready to help you get going again with 0% APR and no deposit across the range, including the new hybrid Vitara. Search Suzuki to find your local dealer. Suzuki, helping you get back on the road. Excludes Jimny, participating dealers only. Minimum contract length applies. Suzuki Financial Services Limited. T's and C's apply. See cars.suzuki.co.uk/offers.
Impress your friends and seriously irritate your competitors with a hard-working, cost-effective custom ad campaign on TalkSport. Find out what we can do for you at advertiseontalksport.com.
The incredible iPhone 11 with 4K video and all-new dual-camera system on Vodafone's Unlimited Max is now just £58 per month and £29 up front. So you can get back out there and share more of what you love with our fastest unlimited data plan at our lowest ever price. Keep connecting on the UK's best mobile data network. Ready? Vodafone.
While stocks last, 24-month plans. 25 gigabytes roam fair use terms and award verification apply. Vodafone.co.uk.
Wednesday evening, live Premier League football. Burnley versus Wolves. Coverage from 5. Kick-off at 6 on TalkSport 2. Now on DAB+.
EFL Live on TalkSport 2.
25 minutes to go to kick off at the Cardiff City Stadium here on TalkSport 2. Cardiff City against Derby County. It is a big game. 3 games to go now for all the clubs in the Championship, with the exception of West Brom and Fulham, who played tonight in our first live game. It finished goalless. It was entertaining, though. West Brom 0, Fulham 0. Just into the second half in the match between Reading and Middlesbrough. It's 1 each in that one. And just into the second half at the DW Stadium, it's Wigan 7, Hull City 0. And I've just checked, there are 11 Hull City players still on the pitch. 3 other games in the Championship, along with our game at Cardiff kicking off at 7:45 tonight. Let's go and speak to our reporters. First up, Luton against QPR at Kenilworth Road. Tony Incenzo.
Yeah, hi Ross, great show as always, and we're looking at this really from a Luton Town point of view. They were dead and buried in the relegation zone a few weeks ago. Then during the lockdown they made a change of manager. They brought back Nathan Jones, who had left under a cloud really before that to go to Stoke City. It wasn't successful for him there. He's back at Luton. There were mixed reactions from the supporters about that, and the Hatters were 6 points adrift of safety. But since the lockdown and football returning, Jones has pulled off 2 wins and 3 draws from 6 games. They're still second bottom, but only 2 points off that safety zone. And they had a great 2-0 win at Huddersfield on Friday. As for QPR, Rangers in 16th spot, 5 defeats from 6 since that lockdown. Very disappointing on Saturday. In Saturday's 3-0 home defeat at the hands of Sheffield Wednesday. So, headline team news: Luton making no changes, QPR making 2 alterations. Starts for Angel Rangel and Ilias Chair. Luton versus QPR at Kenilworth Road.
All right, and QPR's season, obviously you're a seasoned QPR watcher, Tony, as we all know. It's been another disappointing one, really, hasn't it?
Well, the recent form has been particularly disappointing, but because before the lockdown they'd gone 6 games unbeaten. They'd just won 3-1 at Preston, and they were only 6 points off the playoffs, with a home game coming up against Barnsley, which obviously was cancelled, and then an away trip to Charlton, where Charlton were in absolute turmoil off the field at that time. Obviously those games didn't get played, and then when football restarted, QPR lost to Barnsley and lost to Charlton, and things have gone downhill from there. But there's a lack of goals in the team. They lost Naki Wells just after Christmas. He'd been on loan. He'd scored 15 goals. He signed permanently for Bristol City. Jordan Hugill has scored 15 goals. He's been out the last game or 2 with a hamstring injury, not playing tonight. And they lost their experienced captain as well, Grant Hall, centre-half, really good, towering, imposing figure in the back line for Rangers. He sort of left just before the lockdown ended as well, to just save costs really at the club. They've made massive cutbacks at QPR over the last 2 or 3 years since those heady days in the Premier League, when they had and this is 5-6 years ago, they had the 5th highest wage bill in Europe, a higher wage bill than Borussia Dortmund. Yes, very, very rich owners, but they have had their fingers burnt with financial fair play, and so now Rangers are having to cut their cloth.
Yeah, they are. Tony, we'll look forward to hearing your updates a little bit later on Kenilworth Road, Luton against QPR. Tony Incenzo is there. Well, in the Championship tonight, there might be a cricket score brewing. We're just into the second half at the DW Stadium. Hull City, the visitors to Wigan, and with an update, Derek Clark.
Yeah, thanks Russ. I can't believe it. We've played almost 20 minutes of the second 45, and there's been no goals here at the DW. It's Wigan Athletic 7, Hull City 0. An absolutely incredible first 45 minutes of football. It all started from the first minute from the off. Wigan Athletic were in scintillating form. Cal Naismith headed them ahead. Then Kiefer Moore got in the act. Kieran Dill then scored before Jamal Lowe got his first of the evening. Kiefer Moore and Dill then added their second of the night before Joe Williams rifled home the 7th goal of a scintillating first half in first half stoppage time. It could be more. I mean, Wigan have struck the crossbar through Anthony Robinson. They struck the post through Cal Naismith. They've had a couple of penalty claims turned down. They're actually coming forward as we speak just now. Kieran Dill has just scored an absolute beauty. An absolute sensational goal. This is a goal of the season contender. It's Nathan Byrne. Chip ball into Kieran Dill on the volley with the inside of his boot into the top corner of the net. What a goal this is. It's Wigan Athletic 8, Hull City 0.
Thank you very much, Derek. Hull City just want to go home, don't they? Big game at the Den tonight. Millwall against Blackburn Rovers, and there for us, Jordan Jarrett Bryan. Hi, Jordan.
Evening, Russ. Yes, Millwall here hosting Blackburn at the New Den, and it's a game that Millwall really will be hoping to secure 3 points if they're serious about locking down a playoff spot. They're not too far off it at the moment, just a couple of points away from a top 6 finish, but their form hasn't been great of late. No wins at home anyway in the last 7, so they can really do with a win here this evening. The manager, Gary Rowett, has spoken about the lack of goals. He's identified 15 goals he thinks between now and the end of the season will be enough to see them in the top 6, but they need to win here against a Blackburn side who also come in on a poor run of form. Their last 5, just the 1 win, but it was on the road. It was at Cardiff, so they'll be hoping to keep their, albeit faint, hopes of a top 6 spot alive as well. Just the one change for both sides. It's Nyambe out and Captain Bennett in for Blackburn, and Mitchell is out, and it's Romeo for Millwall here in the starting 11, which looks like Bielkowski, Hutchinson, Cooper, Wallace, Bradshaw, Ferguson, Romeo, Pearce, Leonard, Woods and Bennett. That's the 11 for Millwall. For Blackburn, it's Walton, Johnson, Armstrong, Graham, Samuel, Downing, Adebayo, Leyahan, Travis, Bennett and Rankin Costello for Blackburn.
Jordan, thank you very much indeed. Millwall against Blackburn at the Den tonight. Jordan Jarrett Bryan is there with all the goal news across the Talk Sport network. To Hillsborough we go. Sheffield Wednesday against Huddersfield, and there for us, of course, Alan Biggs.
Of course, yeah. Hello, Russ. You know what? My mind goes back to September. Now I'm talking September 2019, and it just shows how long this football season has been going, pushing a year now since the reverse fixture, which was Huddersfield versus Sheffield Wednesday. And it comes back to my mind because it was Gary Monk's first game as Wednesday boss. He won that by 2-0 against the Huddersfield side, who at the time were newly managed by Danny Cowley, and this was after Cowley had been heavily courted for the Wednesday job. So there are lots of links between these two clubs who meet here this evening, including the fact that they're both still in possible danger. Huddersfield only just above the drop. They failed to score in their last 3. Don't I know it? I saw their recent 0-0 with Preston, which was as bad a game as I've seen in 40 years plus of having the pleasure of doing this job. So they've made changes up front this evening, which doesn't surprise me, with Steve Mounier and Elias Kachunga coming into attack. Also a return in defence for Richard Stearman. Sheffield Wednesday still in peril really from off-field events rather than those happening on the field. They had a very good victory at QPR last Saturday, but ridiculously they're still to discover their fate from the EFL investigation, which could take some points away, could take quite a number of points away. So they need a win really, or 2, to be absolutely sure of staying up. There's a single change by Gary Monk from that QPR game. Jacob Murphy for Alessio De Cruz up front.
All right, thank you, Alan. Just a reminder, Premier League action tonight over on TalkSport. 3rd place Chelsea against bottom club and relegated Norwich City. 8:15 kickoff. You can listen to that over on TalkSport. Right here, we've got 7:45 kickoff for you, our second live game on EFL Live, and it's a good one. In fact, it's a big one. Cardiff City against Derby County. It's coming up soon.
TalkSport 2, official broadcast partner of the Premier League and the English Football League.
Give yourself a Diet Coke break.
Short on time? Don't worry. You can still get your cook on with Asda. Get 3 Asda ready meals for just £5.50. Like our beef lasagna or our tomato and mozzarella panette bake. Hang up your oven gloves. We've got dinner covered. Asda. Save money, live better. Selected stores and lines subject to availability. Meals 400 grams, £2.10 each.
Nissan Sunderland factory is building cars again, and we're ready to get Britain moving. That's why this summer selected Nissan models come with a 3-month payment holiday, plus free roadside assistance, all at only 0% APR representative. We've built the cars, we've built the offers. Now it's time to get you back in the driving seat. See how we can help you at nissan.co.uk/payment holiday. And together, let's move beyond. PCP Nissan Finance. Order and register by 30th September 2020. Participating dealers only. Nissan. Innovation that excites.
Daddy, do you want to play?
Play 3 up front today. I can see us scoring a truckload.
Daddy, let's play a game.
Game should be in the bag. Think I'll stick a lump on it.
Dad, please.
Please let this one come in.
Hello?
Sorry, sweetheart. I was miles away. What were you saying?
When you're there, but not there. The National Gambling Treatment Service is here to help. Search Be Gamble Aware for free confidential advice. Start to regain control after one call or chat.
This summer on Disney Plus, think big. Like Disney Plus Big. Incredible exclusives like Artemis Fowl.
Artemis, all of your training has led to this.
Plus Maleficent, Mistress of Evil. Plus massive movies like Frozen 2.
I'll bring the snack.
Plus so much more.
Any questions?
All for the tiny price of just $5.99 a month.
I think they got it.
Disney Plus. All these and more streaming this summer. 18 plus subscription required. T's and C's apply.
Let's face it, it's not been the year we expected. But that won't stop us squeezing the barbecue out of the shed, all squeezing onto one table, leaving room for the odd unexpected guest, down boy, while not forgetting to squeeze out every last drop of sunshine, or every last drop of Heinz. Heinz sauces, squeeze the most out of summer.
At Vodafone, we know how important it is to keep connected during these changing times. That's why we're offering 5 times data on all our pay-as-you-go bundles from £10. Get 15 gig for the same price as 3. Just £10 a month with no contract and total flexibility and control. So switch to Vodafone pay-as-you-go bundles today. Ready? Vodafone.
Ends 16 September. Renews every 30 days with enough credit. Offer available on first 3 bundles. Terms apply. See vodafone.co.uk.
On DAB+, online, via the TalkSport app and on your smart speaker. EFL Live on TalkSport 2.
Well, we've got less than 15 minutes to go to kick-off. Let me take you straight to the Cardiff City Stadium. It is Cardiff against Derby County, another big game. They're all big for most reasons at this time of the season. And Sam Parkin and Ian Danta are there. Sam, Derby County, really, to have any chance of making the playoffs, have got to win all 3 of their final 3 games.
Yeah, huge evening for them. It's win or bust, really, and they want to react from the last couple of defeats, a couple of changes, but yeah, difficult proposition here. I know Cardiff's home form's been indifferent, but they can put you really under pressure from the first minute. They'll have to withstand a lot of balls into the box. That's why Forsyth and the veteran Curtis Davis are in the side tonight, alongside Matt Clark, who's been really impressive on loan from Brighton. He's having a fantastic season, I think arguably their player of the year. So they'll have to defend well, and they'll have to find a way to get some players in support of Chris Martin, who has a habit, this Derby side, really lacking that centre forward who's saying to the manager, pick me week after week. If he gets isolated tonight, then I think Cardiff City win this game. So huge evening, win or bust for the Rams.
Neil Harris, Cardiff City manager, has been very strong on his opinion on this game. He says it quite simply, for Cardiff, is season defining.
We always need 70 points minimum to get into the playoffs in this division. So we've got to win at least 2 games of football between now and the end of the season. Are we capable of doing it? Yeah. You guys know we are. I know we are. The players know they are. And I've just reiterated that to them. That disappointing to lose to Fulham, but they're our top side. Disappointing to lose to Blackburn, that's hurt us. But it's now about moving forward. We've got 3 games now in 8 days that really will define our season. I haven't felt the fixtures defined our season so far, but Tuesday night against Derby really will define our season.
Sam, I suspect from the little bit I heard before Neil was talking that you agree it is season defining. I mean, Neil Harris is talking about, out of the 3 games, 2 wins, 1 draw, job done.
Yeah, and he'll be disappointed about the last couple of results because they put themselves in a brilliant position. So it's whether they can turn it on again and react. I felt, 2 or 3 weeks ago that it was actually Cardiff and Millwall who had the best run-ins, and Cardiff obviously faltered here last time out. Dan saw them in action against Blackburn, and obviously I thought they were really limp against Fulham last Friday. Need to be better with the ball tonight, need to start fast. If they can do that,
as I touched on a little while ago, there's no reasons why they can't beat Middlesbrough and Hull City. You look at those two fixtures in comparison to what everyone else has got, and Neil Harris, I think if he gets maximum points tonight, will be really confident they can be in that 6th position.
Yeah, and Dance, when you look at Derby County, you know, they've lost their last 2, but look who they've lost to, West Brom and Brentford.
Well, yeah, and of course there were slightly mitigating circumstances. Ben Hamer had an afternoon to forget for Derby, and that's why Keller Roos has been brought back in from the cold. And having a quick glance on social media, I think there's a lot of Derby fans quite happy to see Roos back between the sticks tonight for the Rams. But, you know, Hamer had his moment against Brentford, and Brentford, look, they're steamrolling everybody. That's 7 wins in a row for the Bees, and they may make it 8 tomorrow night to really put pressure on West Bromwich Albion. So you're right, they've lost to 2 very good sides, but the pressure is just intensified because lots of teams around them have picked up points. Millwall, Blackburn, Swansea picked up points. So whilst Cardiff have managed to hang on to their 6th spot despite back-to-back defeats, it's got worse for Derby. So, you know, season defining for them too, I would venture.
I would imagine those Derby fans would love it if Martin Waghorn could play tonight, which he can't, obviously, Sam.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been a miss, and obviously Marriott's back on the bench today. A player, I think, who divides opinion, really.
I think that's a risk, getting Marriott. I'm not even sure he's 100% fit.
Yeah.
He's not long got back to training, Russ. So I think that's a real gamble from Cock. He's not long been back in full training, Jack Marriott. So it is a real gamble. He had groin surgery in June, so it's only a month since he had surgery. And I don't know how complex the surgery was, but whenever you hear things like that and somebody's back in training within a month, then, you know, you're always wondering, okay, well, how fit is he and how much work has he done with the other players? So a big risk, but who knows, Russ, he may only want 5 or 10 minutes out of him, and he might need 5 or 10 minutes out of him at the end of the game if circumstances dictate.
But Waghorn is a miss, isn't he, Sam? Big miss.
Yeah, he is. He can get goals. Obviously, he's been playing on the right-hand side at times. I think you know, they've got enough in this team going forward. Like I said, if Chris Martin doesn't get isolated, Lawrence can get into the game. Obviously, Sibley's been an absolute revelation. Those two in particular, on their day, we've seen what Sibley can contribute, and Lawrence is, you know, one of the best, I think, wide players, stroke number 10s in the division when he's on song. So he's a Welsh boy as well, so he'll be back here tonight and wanting to do the business. He's a fantastic talent. He's had his problems off the field, but I think he's knuckled down and putting some really good performances in recent weeks. So big night for him as well. They need to keep going the way they have been and complementing what Wayne Rooney's bringing to the side. He's given them that control, and it allows those boys to go and produce. And certainly the young kids, they've been revelling in it.
Let's stick with Derby County and hear from their manager, Philip Koku. He knows a victory tonight will take them level on points with Cardiff, who at the moment are 6th placed in the Championship. And Philip Koku says his side are really prepared for a physical game.
I think both teams will need a win because with only 3 games left, you need a 3-pointer to keep pushing for a playoff spot. Well, they're quite direct, one of the more direct playing teams. Dangerous with set plays, midfield with a lot of physical power, a lot of runs in behind, anticipating on passes to their striker and pick up second balls. So we have to be really focused in and anticipate on that part of the game. Pick up second balls, keep your defensive shape, and then it's up to us, if we have the ball possession, that we have to try to play our own game against them.
Well, if he's right, guys, you know, and it is a physical game tonight, that'll suit Wayne Rooney, you know, the physique of a boxer and the skill and grace of a ballerina.
Well, when he played at Manchester United, there were those few occasions where he played as a sort of a deep-lying midfielder, and people say, that's not his position. But, of course, the older he's got, you get that with a lot of players, don't you, Sam? Those that kind of drop further and further back who started as forward players, and they find that they're actually more influential and better for the team when they drop as deep as Rooney does now.
I think he's proved to be a bit more elusive in that position. If he plays as a number 10, I think it's a little bit easier to marshal that kind of number 10 role. So if I was him, I'd stay away from Joe Rawls tonight and maybe position myself on Marlon Pack or Lee Tomlin, as you described so eloquently earlier. Dance, he's not the most mobile, Lee, but as I said, he's got that sprinkling of gold dust, and he did a good job for Neil Warnock at times, towards the end of his tenure. And Warnock always kind of liked that maverick. You think of Tarapt at QPR. He likes that one player which he allows the freedom, and Tomlin looked to be that guy towards the end of Warnock's tenure, and obviously Neil Harris has gone back with him tonight.
4-2-3-1, isn't it, Dance, for Cardiff City? I presume
both of them,
Derby
both teams.
Or match up, and then it all sort of change probably.
Yeah, well, we shouldn't forget, all right, Waghorn's out suspended, but Chris Martin's done okay this season. 11 goals in all competitions for him, and it's his most starts, appearances and goals for, I think, 4 seasons, maybe even 5 seasons. So it's a bit of a return to regular football for Chris, who's had his strained relationship with Derby fans over the years. Do you remember that protracted move to Fulham?
Yeah,
Steve McLaren and all that and all that was going on. That was.
I played with Chris a long time ago when he was a kid on loan from Norwich at Luton. Strong boy, but even then not the most mobile. And as the years have gone on, you need to get good quality into his body or into his feet. And they've got the youthful exuberance around him. What he does have, Dance, is a brilliant football brain, and he's an excellent finisher off either foot as well. So he'll just play one touch. He'll be a wall for those young runners to get around him, but give him a chance. I would go as far to say one of the best finishers I played with. Either side, header, strong.
Can finish with his chest from a yard out like he did against Forest as well.
Quality forward. Forward. Getting on a bit, so he's not going to run the channels, but very intelligent boy.
Sam, just finally to you, both of these managers know the importance of this game for their sides and their season. They are literally running out of games. What would you guess their last-minute instructions will be to both of their teams?
Well, I think early on you can't take too many risks, but play your way into the game. Obviously, start aggressively, try and put the opposition under pressure. That will be the card of advice from Neil Harris, who'll want to play on the front foot rather than be defensive as they were at Fulham. For Derby, it will be patience. But I think they'll both know, and the message will be, the further we get into this game, that for Derby County they have to win this game. So therefore we should get a really nice open encounter, because they're going to have to go and try and win this at some point, which should lead itself to a really good game.
Let's hope so. Kick-off not too far away. Just a reminder, 6 o'clock tomorrow over on Talk Sport. It's an exclusive, Newcastle against Spurs. Sam Matterface, who's had some good news today, and Danny Mills will be your commentary team here on TalkSport 2, 6 o'clock kickoff. Also Premier League action. Mickey Gray and Mark Wilson will be your commentary team. Burnley against Wolves, and I'll be here hosting that, and the build-up from 5 on Thursday. 5 o'clock kickoff on TalkSport 2 is an exclusive. Leeds United against Barnsley. Guess who's commentating? Ian Danter. And guess who's next to him? Had to be Neil Redfern. So that's coming up on Thursday. But let's get down to business now at the Cardiff City Stadium. It is Cardiff against Derby County. It's live here on EFL Live on TalkSport 2. And your match commentary team, Sam Parkin and Ian Danter.
Thanks, Russ, and a very good evening to you, wherever and however you're listening to us on TalkSport 2. So 270 minutes or so of league football to come for Cardiff City and Derby County, and both these sides will be hoping they can play a subsequent 270 minutes of football and get to a playoff final. Cardiff hold the whip hand at the moment of these two. They're clinging on to 6th spot, remember, despite back-to-back defeats for the Bluebirds. We brought you both of those defeats live on TalkSport 2, here against Blackburn a week ago and then at Fulham on Friday night, whilst Derby, similarly on TalkSport 2, lost to Brentford last Saturday lunchtime, following up after the defeat to West Bromwich Albion, and they lie in 10th place, but they're only 3 points behind the Bluebirds going into this tie tonight. 3 changes made by Neil Harris and Philip Cocu. Cardiff welcome back Lee Tomlin for a rare start, and Marlon Pack and Martin Glatzel Robert Glatzel are also recalled. Alex Smithies is the keeper. Leandro Bacuna, Sean Morrison, Curtis Nelson and Joe Bennett in a back four. Joe Rawls and Marlon Pack will be the midfield holders, and then Nathaniel Mendez-Lang, Lee Tomlin and Junior Hoylett in behind Robert Glatzel up front. Keller Roos comes back in goal for Derby for his first start since February the 1st. Ben Hamer had an afternoon to forget at Pride Park on Saturday. The other change, you see Curtis Davis and Craig Forsyth come in for George Evans and Jayden Bogle. It's Keller Roos in goal, Max Lowe, Matt Clark, Curtis Davis and Craig Forsyth at the back, Wayne Rooney and Max Bird as defensive midfielders, and then Jason Knight, Louis Sibley and Tom Lawrence behind Chris Martin, Martin Waghorn still suspended, and Jack Marriott back from groin surgery to be part of the substitutes bench for the Rams. I'll run you through the substitutes in a minute, but our referee Darren Bond blows his whistle and all players and officials take to one knee in support of the fight against racial injustice and those important 3 words, Black Lives Matter. Let me run you through the benches as well. The bench for Cardiff: Etheridge, Sanderson, Flint, Bamber, Smith, Volks, Murphy, Patterson and Ward as we get things underway here on TalkSport 2. Derby with their bench of Hamer, Shinnie, Josephson, Marriott, Evans, Bogle, Buchanan, Whittaker and Malone. And so we're underway with both teams wearing their first choice colours. Cardiff in the blue shirts, white shorts and blue socks. Derby in white shirts, black shorts and white socks. And Derby will be kicking towards the University of South Wales stand end away to our left hand side as we sit in the main stand here at the Cardiff City Stadium, just behind and to the right of the 2 dugouts where Neil Harris and Philip Cocu are stood. And the Rams have early possession inside their own half inside this first minute, and Matt Clark works it back to Keller Roos, back in the starting lineup then after giving up the gloves to Ben Hamer in February, but he's got his chance again tonight. Ball drops in the centre circle and a good touch from Max Bird to win it for Derby. Now Tom Lawrence, the Welshman, back at his native land, tries to thread the ball through to young Louis Sibley, but that's intercepted by Cardiff. But then Bacuna has the ball taken off his toe by Chris Martin, and Derby are swift and incisive in these opening moments, Sam Parkin.
Yeah, some really nice early touches. Wayne Rooney, Tom Lawrence in particular down on this near side, getting into their groove. Early touch for the goalkeeper as well, and we're going to see a bit of a contrast, I would suggest, Dance. Derby will like to keep the ball. They'll 2 holding central midfield players will get plenty of touches. Cardiff a lot more direct, you would imagine, and Joe Rawls and Marlon Pack will look to get it into those wide players' feet, Mendez-Lang and Hoylett, and see if they can cause havoc down the flanks.
Curtis Davis, who's had a couple of sub appearances since lockdown but hasn't started yet until tonight, since everything got closed down in March. He sends a hopeful ball downfield. Louis Sibley can't get that because it will be just allowed to run out of play by Curtis Nelson at the back for Cardiff City. Middlesbrough have the lead at Reading. Remember, that was 1-1 at half time, but Patrick Roberts has given Middlesbrough the lead with 8 minutes to go at the Medeski Stadium. A massive goal for Neil Warnock and Middlesbrough if it stays like that. If it does stay like that, Middlesbrough will go up to 17th and on to 50 points, 5 clear of the bottom 3. In case you weren't aware, the current score at the DW Stadium is Wigan 8, Hull City 0. So even a try and a conversion wouldn't get Hull back into that at the moment. And they're still playing in that game at the DW with a couple of minutes to play. 0-0 in the other 7:45 kickoffs. We'll keep you updated with goals as they go in from our reporters at Luton, Millwall and Sheffield Wednesday on your home of the EFL. But it's 0-0 here between Cardiff and Derby. 3 minutes gone. And Alex Smithies thumps a goal kick downfield for Cardiff, looking for Glatzel. But Matt Clark steps in front of him and nods the ball out of play for a throw to the Bluebirds on this near side, the Cardiff right. Bacuna throws it in to Glatzel, tried to smuggle it back to the man playing at right back today. He was playing in central midfield when we were here last week for the game against Blackburn, Leandro Bacuna, but he's preferred there to the Wolves loanee Dion Sanderson. And here's a throw for Craig Forsyth. Suspicion of a foul throw. I'm not sure both feet were planted, but our referee says no problem. Darren Bond, who's now refereed more championship games than anybody this season. Rooney floats a ball down the inside right channel, looking for Sibley, but out comes Smithies to claim comfortably. 0-0.
Going to be a really good battle between Glatzel and Clark. Already been in combat on a couple of occasions, as I touched on as we were chatting before the game, Clark's been exceptional in recent weeks, and Glatzel's starting to find his form as well. Dance, me and you were speaking off air. Neil Harris really talking him up in recent days and weeks, talking about him potentially being the full championship package in terms of a striker. Certainly knows where the goal is. His finishing's been very impressive since they've restarted the league. Just needs to add a little bit more brawn maybe, and be that real focal point, be that aggressive number 9 that Cardiff need in this setup.
He's joint top scorer with Rawls and Tomlin, with 7 strikes in all competitions for Cardiff. Sean Morrison, their centre half and leader at the back, nods the ball out of play for a throw to Derby on the left hand side, and it's picked up by Max Bird on the left hand touchline. Works in field, but Bakuna wins it back for Cardiff City and just gently lays it off for Curtis Nelson, and then across to the left back, Joe Bennett on the far side of the field from us. Into the feet of Joe Rawls, playing a bit deeper tonight to allow Lee Tomlin that role, and here is Tomlin picking the ball up on halfway, looks to send the ball for Nathaniel Mendez-Lang, barrel-chested attacking midfielder, but again Matt Clark comfortably there first for Derby County. Looks very assured, as you were saying, Sam Parkin, both in terms of his timing to win tackles and his distribution from the back too.
Yeah, it looks to have been a superb bit of business, and clever as well from Brighton, allowing him to come and improve his footballing education. With a year in the Championship, playing every week, he developed a good relationship with Burgess, I think it was, at Portsmouth last year. Very impressive.
He was Player of the Year there last year at Pompey.
Yeah, very impressive in their successful campaign, and then come in here and he's played every week more or less, and yeah, been excellent, especially in the last few weeks. I think he's really stood out, and yeah, going to be very close to another Player of the Year accolade, I would suggest.
5 minutes gone. You're listening to TalkSport 2, your home of the EFL, our second live commentary of the night. West Brom and Fulham finished goalless at tea time. Here's Bakuna looking for Mendez-Lang, right hand side of the area for Cardiff, floats across too deep for Hoylett at the far post, but Hoylett will be able to retrieve it on the far side of the field. The Cardiff left works it back in field to Tomlin. What can Tomlin scheme from here? Clips the ball into the air looking for Mendez-Lang, and Forsyth just puts his right foot through it and clears it out of play on the far side for a Cardiff throw. 0-0.
Yeah, exactly where they're going to want Lee Tomlin to get on the ball. 25 yards out, slightly left of centre. Didn't get enough purchase on the delivery for Mendez-Lang. It was awkward for Forsyth on his wrong foot as well, but was able to clear the lines for Derby.
Hoylett picks the ball up for Cardiff. It's worked back into midfield, and Marlon Pack just rides a challenge from Chris Martin. Worked out to Joe Bennett, left hand side. Glatzel's calling for it near post, and again an overhit cross goes out of play on the full for a Derby County goal kick away to our right hand side.
Yeah, frustration for Glatzel, because Joe Rawls just threads it into Bennett. He's got plenty of time. Lowe's 7 or 8 yards off him. Good sight of the 18-yard box. Should have been able to put it into a dangerous area, but wildly overcooked, and yeah, frustrating, because that's half a chance to put something in the box for Glatzel to go and attack.
Goal kick from Roos for Derby, sent down the right hand side. Chris Martin climbs with Nelson, but Nelson wins the header. Rawls has got a bit of space for Cardiff just shy of the halfway line, trots over the halfway line far on the left hand side and flicks it infield for Marlon Pack, who arrived here last summer. Marlon Pack, after 6 years at Bristol City. Here's Mendez-Lang trying to play the ball infield to Tomlin, but it's intercepted by Bird, and he'll get the ball back from Louis Sibley and dart into the Cardiff City half. Down the Derby left-hand side, it floats the ball diagonally. I think he was looking for Chris Martin, but it was overhit, and Jason Knight couldn't pick up the pieces for the Rams, and so it's back with Joe Bennett, who'll look for Sean Morrison at the back for the Bluebirds. 0-0, 8 minutes gone, Sam Parkin.
Yeah, just a little bit forced from Bird. Sibley's first little piece of play, just popped it off, and Bird looking to go for the killer ball rather than just keeping it ticking over for Derby. Very end-to-end.
Full-time score at the DW, Wigan 8, Hull City 0. So Wigan declared with just the 8, and they're still playing at the Medeski. Reading 1, Middlesbrough 2. Here's Tomlin for Cardiff at 0-0 here on TalkSport 2 with our second commentary of the day, as the EFL reaches its end-of-season climax. Bakuna sends the ball in field for Joe Rawls, who takes a touch just ahead of the centre circle. Rooney's facing him up. He's got options left and right. Just ahead of him is Hoylett. Hoylett flicks the ball out to this near side, the right, and Bakuna. Bakuna has options that right and left, and he looks for Tomlin. Tomlin plays a lovely ball up to the edge of the area. Rawls works it back out to the right wing, and Hoylett dummies to cross, gets away from Lawrence, and then wins a corner by driving it against the shins of Forsyth. So it's a corner to Cardiff with 9 minutes gone, away to our right hand side, 0-0.
Terrific stuff, and already we've seen why Lee Tomlin's in the side, picking up some really intelligent areas. Junior Hoylett finds himself on the right hand side, coming all the way over from the opposite flank, and it's nice intricate football from Cardiff, winning themselves an early corner.
So Marlon Pack will have a corner, right hand side, so it'll be a right footed out swinger from the Cardiff number 15. Well, he drills it deep to the far post. Morrison climbs and heads it goalwards, and Glatzel and Rose both went for the same ball, but the referee had already blown for a push by Morrison on his marker, and Derby have a free kick. 0-0 on TalkSport 2.
Yeah, it just takes a little bit of a ride on Curtis Davis. It's hung up rather than fizzed into the area. It's amazing how many Morrison does win, though. Corners, throw-ins, he always gets that first contact, and then it's about, can Derby defend the second ball? I think that was the right decision from the referee, just a little bit too much contact from Cardiff skipper.
Well, Derby had won 3 in a row away from home prior to losing at West Bromwich Albion on their last trip on their travels, but their away form is really poor. They're 20th in the away league table, Sam. 5 wins, 5 draws and 11 defeats for the Rams on the road. Here's Bakuna in the centre circle, lays it off for Nelson. Quick ball worked out to the left hand side, and Joe Bennett quickly goes back in field for Tomlin. Mendes-Lang calling for it on this near side, and Tomlin drills a ball out to him that Mendes-Lang can collect. Now he's got Rawls going on the outside of him, but Mendes-Lang's coming in field. A lot of traffic to get past. He finds Tomlin up to the edge of the area, tries to bend it round Roast, but bent it straight into the grateful chest of the Derby goalkeeper, and it stays 0-0 on TalkSport 2.
I've done them a bit of a disservice because they played more football in the opening 10 minutes than they did last Friday night at Fulham. Some really good stuff there. Mendes-Lang over on the right hand side, and you can see what Tomlin was trying to open his body up and arc a shot around the goalkeeper, right footed.
Maybe that's the difference that one player can make.
And Marlon Pack, I think, Dan.
Yeah.
Tomlin and Marlon Pack. He's a very intelligent footballer, good quarterback. 2 good passes of the ball they got in the side tonight.
11 gone. Derby coming forward with Forsyth. Tries to clip a ball into the area from deep, but it just bounces once and through to Smithies. Full time at the Medeski. Reading 1, Middlesbrough 2. Patrick Roberts winner 8 minutes from time. Takes Middlesbrough up to 17th with that win. And listeners from TalkSport join us here at the Cardiff City Stadium, where we played 11.5 minutes. It is Cardiff City 0, Derby County 0. Cardiff, remember, in 6th place, somehow hanging on to that final playoff berth despite back-to-back defeats. And Derby 3 points behind and in 10th place. Win or bust, you might say, for Philip Cocu's men. Here come Cardiff down the right-hand side, but a diagonal ball intended for Leandro Bakuna had drifted out of play. Sam Parkin, former championship striker with the likes of Ipswich and Luton, is alongside me. Who's had the better of the opening 12 minutes for you, Sam?
Cardiff impressed me. Dance moving the ball really nicely. Made a few changes tonight. Neil Harris, Marlon Pack getting on the ball. Lee Tomlin, we know what a creative spark he can be. Playing as the number 10 tonight. He's taken up some intelligent positions, and Derby yet to get in their stride. So not much in either 18-yard box. Just the one chance for Tomlin to talk about, but certainly Cardiff shading it at the moment.
Forsyth will have a throw for Derby midway inside their own half. So 12.5 minutes gone in this TalkSport 2 commentary at the Cardiff City Stadium. It is still, though, Cardiff City 0, Derby County 0. Here's Tomlin trying to send the ball down the right-hand side, but that's deflected out of play by Max Bird. And Tomlin wants to take the throw himself, although Bakuna's now calling for it. He was ready to take it from the right position, in fairness to Bakuna. Tomlin has stolen about 15 yards from where he was trying to take the throw. Nelson for the Bluebirds, inside his own half, out to the left-back position, and Bennett. Ball played in field to Pack. It was almost taken off his toe by Louis Sibley. The Derby youngster who had his red card at West Brom rescinded, so he's able to take part at Fulham last Friday. I don't know whether that was your first chance to have a look at Louis Sibley live, Sam Parkin, when you saw him at the Cottage.
Yeah, no, I've seen him play a few times. Obviously the hat-trick at Millwall. I've seen him actually play in the 23s
right
on a few occasions as well, but I mean, he's taken to first team football like a duck to water. Obviously a tremendous technician, but can go past people as well, Dance, and that's what I really like about him. He can kind of meander away from challenges, and he can take strikes on with either foot, so his introduction to this side has been very beneficial for Philippe Cocu.
Glatzel for Cardiff goes to ground as he ran down the right-hand side of the penalty area under pressure from Bird, but the referee shakes his head. Martin tries to win a header for Derby on halfway. It's broken for Tom Lawrence, who rides the challenge of Bacuna, but then they lose out on halfway, do Derby, and Cardiff have it back. Here's Joe Rawls moving forward. Out to the left-hand side is Hoylett. Hoylett thinks about swinging an early cross into the box. Bennett scampering down his left-hand side on the overlap, and then Hoylett tries to hit a diagonal to pick out Mendes Lang. But as we've seen, Sam Parkin, in these opening 14 minutes, a lot of overhit crosses from the Bluebirds. Goal kick, 0-0.
Yeah, I mean, Cardiff are in the ascendancy and they're working it into some really dangerous areas with some good, incisive football. But once more, as you say, Dance, Joe Bennett was guilty on the first occasion, and then it's Junior Hoylett wildly overhitting the delivery and seems to have been a little bit catching in this restart. You know, that's the final little bit, and when you're still getting up to speed fitness wise and you may be a little bit ring rusty, that's the final bit that comes into the tank. So yeah, Cardiff a little bit guilty of being wasteful in the final third, but been impressive, you know, up to that point.
15 minutes gone then on TalkSport 2, your home of the EFL. Cardiff 0, Derby 0, and a reminder that 8-0 win for Wigan is just as important for the number of goals they scored for their goal difference. They now have a plus goal difference tonight of +1, and the points tally that they're on now, Wigan 57, would mean that if 12 were taken off now, they would be outside of the bottom three on goal difference from Hull City, the team that they thrashed tonight at the DW. Doing their level best to make sure, Paul Cook and his players, that 12-point deduction makes no difference to where they play their football next season. Where will Cardiff and Derby be playing their football next season? Derby, remember, defeated finalists last year. Cardiff coming down from the Premier League, trying to find their feet under new management in Neil Harris. One of his major lieutenants out there, Sean Morrison, swings the ball downfield looking for Glatzel, but Curtis Davies back in the Derby starting lineup tonight gets the better of him. Oh, poor back pass, and Junior Hoylett's round the keeper, and Junior Hoylett gives Cardiff the lead. Shambolic defending at the back from Derby County. The ball given away needlessly. A pass back, I think, from Jason Knight, seized upon by Junior Hoylett, who rounded Kellett Roos from a tight angle, slipped it into the back of the net. That will settle the nerves on the Cardiff bench, but Derby, architects of their own downfall once again. Cardiff 1, Derby 0.
Nightmare start, low into Knight. It just doesn't look, Dance, and it's the last player really on the Cardiff side you want to present the ball to, because he's so sharp in getting in there, anticipating Junior Hoylett, nipping it round the goalkeeper and just passing it into the unguarded net. A terrible start for the goalkeeper recall tonight as well, but Jason Knight with a really poor decision, really poor pass, and Cardiff with the perfect start.
Well, you can't really whip Kelly Roos for that error.
No.
It's Jason Knight's back pass intercepted by Hoylett, and they have the lead. Let's go into Kenilworth Road on TalkSport 2. Tony and Chenzo.
It's Luton 0, Queen's Park Rangers 0, and Luton have a penalty. There was a foul by the QPR left back Ryan Manning on Bree in the box. Manning wasn't happy, and there's a bit of a delay here because the QPR players are arguing about it, but Collins is putting the ball on the spot, faced by Joe Lumley in goal for Rangers. James Collins, 12 goals so far this season, and Luton need the points to get out of this relegation dogfight. So Collins comes forward now, right-footed, and he smashes it past Lumley. Lumley goes the wrong way. His 13th goal of the season. It's Luton 1, Queen's Park Rangers 0.
And if the score stays like that, Luton will be out of the bottom three on 47, and Charlton will drop into the bottom three ahead of their game at Birmingham City tomorrow tea time. 1-0 here on TalkSport 2 in our commentary game at the Cardiff City Stadium to the Bluebirds after Jason Knight's back pass intercepted by Junior Hoylett to put Neil Harris's side in front. And the Bluebirds trying to keep possession inside their own half. There's a foul with Louis Sibley hurt, the Derby attacking midfielder, and Darren Bonds called a halt to proceedings. And Louis Sibley's going to get some treatment. I'll tell you what, whilst he's getting some treatment, let's check in with the early stages of the game at the Den in South London. Millwall Blackburn, TalkSport 2's Jordan Jarrett. Brian.
Yes, it's 0-0 here. Millwall 0, Blackburn 0 here. Early exchanges between both sides here. Nothing of real note between the two sides to report here. A slight head injury for Dominic Samuel early on in the match here, but he's okay. He went off for a few minutes, but he's back on now. Just a minute ago, on the 14th minute, there was a chance for Mason Bennett, who fired across goal, but it went out for a goal kick. No chances of note to mention as of yet. It's Millwall 0, Blackburn 0.
And to Hillsborough as well as checking the early stages there between Sheffield Wednesday and Huddersfield. TalkSport 2's Alan Biggs.
Yeah, it's very much Sheffield Wednesday 0, Huddersfield 0. The one semblance of a chance created for himself by Smith Rowe on the run for Huddersfield, but presented with the opportunity, he shot straight at keeper Joe Wildsmith. Sheffield Wednesday 0, Huddersfield 0.
Leandro Bacuna with a throw for Cardiff, who lead by a goal to 0 here on TalkSport 2 at their home stadium. Bacuna playing it right back, throws it in for Marlon Pack, gives it back to Bacuna, rolls his foot on the ball to keep it away from Tom Lawrence, and finds Lee Tomlin, who moves in field ahead of Sibley, plays the ball through the legs of Hoylett, spotting Bennett on the left hand side. Bennett finds Hoylett again, gets to the byline, pulls it back into the near post, but that's straight into Keller Roos's arms at that near post. But swift, incisive attacking play from Cardiff City. 1-0 they lead.
Yeah, Junior Hoylett just running out of pitch in the end, but lovely play. Tomlin once more, Joe Bennett and Hoylett on the overlap. Unfortunately couldn't wrap his left foot around the ball, keeping it in play, but another sharp break from the home side.
Jason Knight dispossessed inside his own half, and away comes Mendes Lang, charging into the Derby County half, out to his left hand side in Glatzel. Mendes Lang calls for it back, plays it across for Tomlin. Is this number 2? What a save! Keller Roos, it's not clear yet. Glatzel picks the ball up, right hand side of the area, has to run outside the box to keep possession for Cardiff. Now Bacuna plays the ball in field to Marlon Pack. Pack puts his foot on the ball and then finds Tomlin at the edge of the area. Tomlin tries to chip Rose and he got it all wrong and it went wide. But Tomlin one-on-one with Rose, couldn't beat the Derby keeper, and it stays 1-0 on TalkSport 2.
Yeah, wonderful attack. All the forward players involved. Wasn't sure if Mendes Lang had seen the pass, fed in by Glatzel inside left channel, and he squares it to perfection for Tomlin, who's arriving. He went for the chip on the second occasion, Dance. I thought the first time he gets in, maybe he could have just stabbed that over the goalkeeper, play with his guile and quality. I felt naturally he was going to take that on. It was more of a side foot. Roos made a really good save, spreading himself.
So it stays 1-0 then to Cardiff City. Starting the night in 6th spot, remember. Derby down in 10th, only 3 points between the two sides. And Derby trying to get a foothold in this game. There are some neat flashes from them in the opening couple of minutes, but since then Cardiff City have played the better football. Ian Danter and Sam Parkin with you on your home with the EFL. We're approaching the midway point of the first half. Forsyth receives a throw back from Sibley, level with the edge of the Cardiff penalty area. Coming in for the left-hand touchline, Sibley works it back to Rooney. Rooney flicks it out to the right-hand side. Maxlow just couldn't take the ball with him, has to run back to keep possession for the Rams. Curtis Davis gives it back to Lowe, and Lowe will now drift in field and look for Max Bourne. We've got a goal at the Den in the Championship. Jordan Jarrett Bryan.
Yes, it's Millwall 1, Blackburn 0. A goal here from Mason Bennett. The pressure was coming just after I last spoke to you. A couple of crosses into the Blackburn box that were dealt with a bit hesitantly, but Millwall kept the pressure on. A cross came in, Blackburn defence scrambling all over the place, and Mason Bennett slotted in to make it Millwall 1, Blackburn 0, 20 minutes gone.
Big goal for Millwall, who could go on to 65 points and just 2 behind Cardiff with 2 to play. As we reach another gripping climax in the Championship with so much up for grabs. Promotion, playoffs, relegation. Nothing decided yet with 3 games to play. Now Derby trying to head the ball back into the Cardiff half, but Morrison would just clear his lines and lands. Well, Shay Given didn't catch it. I can't believe it. The Derby coach went straight through his fingers. Dreadful. Throw in won't be taken yet because they've decided on a drinks break here at the Cardiff City Stadium. So it's 1-0 to the Bluebirds. Remember earlier today in the Championship it finished goalless between West Brom and Fulham. Middlesbrough with a big win at Reading, 2-1, and Wigan with a gargantuan win against Hull City by 8-0. And just a reminder of what that does to the table for all concerned. West Brom stays second, 2 points behind Leeds and 4 points ahead of Brentford, who play tomorrow night. in the middle of the table. You just heard Millwall going 1-0 up against Blackburn, so they're on to 65 points, I think, by my reckoning. And at the bottom, Middlesbrough move on to 50 points with 2 to play, 4 above the drop zone. And Luton, with that goal they've got that Tony Cenzo told you about, the penalty for the Hatters, takes them out of the bottom 3 for the first time in goodness knows how long, Sam Park, in your old club, and dumps Charlton in the bottom 3.
Yeah, big game for Charlton tomorrow at Birmingham, and after Luton went down 5-0 against Reading, I thought that was it, to be honest. Looking at the fixtures, I was really optimistic, having seen them get that point at Ellen Road, but Nathan Jones hasn't half done well going in there and taking that beating off Reading and being able to get the players back on side, producing performances. So they're looking like they're a very good shout to get out of trouble.
Ably assisted, of course, by Mick Harford, who's still there, and Paul Hart, who's part of the coaching staff there at Kenilworth Road. We're back underway here on TalkSport 2, and a throw for Derby comes to nothing. Lawrence couldn't guide the ball back to Forsyth, who'd taken the throw on halfway. And they just haven't got up ahead of steam yet, Derby County.
No, Cardiff being comfortable, deserve to be in front. They're not really getting after the Cardiff defensive players when they're on the ball and playing out, and I think it's encouraging Cardiff to play, and Morrison stepping out with the ball and actually threading it into midfield. I think invariably Cardiff, if they're pressurised, they'll go a little bit more route one towards Glatzel, but because of the lack of Derby intensity, I think Cardiff are being encouraged that they can play through this Derby side.
It's a throw for Bacuna, right on halfway for Cardiff, right-hand side. Flicked on by Tomlin. Hoylett won't pick up the loose ball. Davis got there first, and now Tom Lawrence gets it just shy of the halfway line. Martin had made a steaming run through the inside left channel, but Lawrence couldn't find him. Instead, it's gone back via Rooney to Clark, who strokes the ball out to Forsyth, who's got space on this near touchline. Runs past his manager, Koku. Further down the left-hand touchline line is Lawrence. Gives it back to Forsyth, who then has to work it back for Clark inside his own half. Don't forget, Chelsea-Norwich is about to get underway over on Talk Sport. Commentary there from the bridge from Nigel Adderley on that game. But here on Talk Sport 2, your home of the EFL, it's all about the Championship, with Cardiff one up here with 26 minutes played. Derby looking for Chris Martin with a long ball forward. He doesn't win the header, but it still breaks for Max Bird, who finds Wayne Rooney, tries to drift away from Glatzel. Lowe calling for it on the far touchline. A touch for Jason Knight, and Lowe playing on the right-hand side of defence. We used to see him at left-back. Works it back to halfway. Now Rooney with a good ball into the feet of Louis Sibley. Sibley 25 yards out. Works the ball in field to Max Bird. Bird turns and finds Lawrence, who lays it off for Rooney. Rooney again was trying to set something up, but Rawls forced him to go backwards of square to Matt Clark. Clark, midway point of the Cardiff half, drifts away from Tomlin. Forsyth works it back to Bird, and it's patient from Derby County, and they've kept possession for the last minute or so here. Curtis Davies plays a 1-2 with Knight and tries to play the ball into the feet of Max Lowe. Lawrence now works it into the feet of Martin. Lovely ball round the corner for Jason Knight, who gets into the area right-hand side. Tried to lay it off for Lawrence, but it was easily picked off by Mendes Lang. And Tomlin, holding the ball up inside his own half, keeps it away from Matt Clark. And Mendes Lang sends an early ball downfield looking for Glatzel, but the offside flag has gone up against the striker, and it will be a free kick to Derby County. 1-0 to Cardiff then, and it's Sam Parkin alongside me tonight on TalkSport 2.
Yeah, very patient passage of play from Derby, not really hurting Cardiff City. It took Joe Bennett to come out of the shape actually and have a little nibble, and then there was a little deflection, ball into Chris Martin. He sped the attack up with a little ball round the corner, and unfortunately Knight has not really got going in the attacking sense, and obviously caused the goal as well. So he needs to improve, but better possession from Derby, just lacking any intent really around the 18-yard box.
So 1-0 here, also 1-0 to Luton, as you've heard from the penalty spot. Mason Bennett, the former Derby player, has Millwall ahead at the Den against Blackburn, and we're still waiting for the deadlock to be broken at Hillsborough between Sheffield Wednesday and Huddersfield. And plenty more Championship games tomorrow. Brentford and Bristol City and Birmingham and Nottingham Forest all at home at either 5 or 6 o'clock kickoffs. Free kick for Alex Smithies for Cardiff. The goalkeeper sends it downfield looking for Glatzel, but Matt Clark climbs well. It's retrieved just in front of the halfway line though for Cardiff by Pack. Glatzel was looking for where Matt Clark was and barged into him, spotted by the referee, And Derby have themselves a free kick. Work back to the keeper, Keller Roos, who could do nothing about that opening goal as a back pass from Jason Knight, seized upon by the quick-thinking Junior Hoylett, rounded Rose and put it into the back of the net. And that's the only goal of the game. Rose trying to keep the ball away from Tomlin here. Matt Clark under pressure from Mendes-Lang, spins away from him and then manages to play the ball forward to Max Bird. Bird has got Martin calling for it. Lovely flick from Martin, sets Louis Sibley a road, running through the centre of the field. Sibley flicks it right for Jason Knight. Jason Knight for 1-1. Brilliant equaliser from Derby County. What a counter-attack from the Rams, and two of the youngsters combine. Louis Sibley driving through midfield from a lovely flick by Martin, and then he released Jason Knight inside the box, who was calmness personified. He atones for the error that led to Cardiff's goal to bring Derby level. It's Derby 1, Cardiff 1.
What a wonderful team goal dance from right from the beginning. Clark under loads of pressure, pirouettes away from two Cardiff players, great ball into Martin, and that's that hold-up play I was talking about before kick-off. Beautiful little flick round the corner, Sibley driving towards the goal. I thought he'd overdone it, I thought he'd taken a heavy touch, but the awareness to set Knight free and the finish on his right foot, beautiful, strikes it nice and clean into the roof of the net. Nothing that Smithies can do about it. It's a brilliant team goal.
Wonderful stuff, and there's an injury to a Cardiff player. Joe Rawls, I think, is having an ice pack applied to his thigh as he gets slowly back to Joe Bennett, forgive me, who's injured at the edge of the D. But we're still waiting for the restart here, and Cardiff have been pegged back here by Jason Knight getting his 5th goal of the season, all of them coming in the Championship. 19 years of age, Jason Knight, and that'll make him feel better after what happened for the Cardiff City goal, Sam Parkin.
Yeah, great reaction. It was just a little bit critical of him giving the ball away unopposed a few moments ago, but wonderful finish, composure, the execution to lift it over the goalkeeper as well. But it was a fantastic team goal, and maybe that slight lack of athleticism in the Cardiff midfield exposed there. Shouldn't be allowing Sibley that type of room from a pretty simple straight ball from Clark, and Chris Martin's done that the type of thing all his career. It's straight down the spine of Cardiff, which I'm sure Neil Harris will be bitterly disappointed about.
1-1 on TalkSport 2 with 14 minutes to half time. Ball's back with Keller Roos, the Derby keeper. Bird calling for it outside the area. It's rolled into his feet under pressure from Pack. It's now worked out to the Derby left and Forsyth. Rooney looking for Max Bird. Oh, he got lucky. Rode a challenge of Mendes-Lang as the ball just span away from the Derby at the Cardiff midfielder. And now Tom Lawrence hits a ball cross-field, left to right to pick out Curtis Davis. Rolls the ball into the feet of Knight, the goal scorer. Back to Davis. Rooney, as always, wanting the ball, gets it just shy of the halfway line. Knight turns away from Bennett, who's back on the field and fit again. And now Derby look, as you might imagine, for a team who've just got an equalising goal, much more confident in possession. Lawrence rolls the ball along the halfway line for Bird. Now Sibley, whose drive set up that equaliser. Jason Knight, who scored it. Right-hand corner of the box, he looked to find Martin with a threaded ball into the box, and Morrison got the ball away for Cardiff City, but only as far as Rooney. Now Davis on halfway for the Rams. Into the centre circle to pick out Tom Lawrence. Welshman drifting into the Cardiff half, and then plays it back to Max Bird. Lowe calling for it on the far side of the field, the Derby right. He might get it via Wayne Rooney here, but Rooney elects instead to go back to Davis on the halfway line. And again, Derby keeping hold of the ball for a fair spell here. Out to the left-hand side it goes, and Forsyth rolls the ball into Tom Lawrence, lets the ball come across his body, plays a lovely ball to find Knight again. Right-hand corner of the box, faced up by Bennett. Thinks about going on the outside of Bennett, does Knight. He's got support from Max Lowe, level with the edge of the area. Lowe plays it back to Rooney. Rooney midway point of the Cardiff half. Plays it infield to Max Bird. Sibley picks it up again, trying to drive towards the edge of the area. Good challenge on him by Marlon Pack, but Sibley has it again. Finds Forsyth. Sibley lays it off neatly for Max Bird. Cardiff haven't touched the ball for about 90 seconds. Here's Bird again for Derby County. Goes back to Davis. Derby growing in confidence visibly here on TalkSport 2 with 12 to half time. It's one apiece. Here now is Matt Clark striding forward from the back into the Cardiff half. Moves away from Mendes-Lang, infield to Lawrence. And now Rooney again, just ahead of the centre circle. rolls the ball right to Max Lowe, moving forward from right back. Again, Rooney has it. Always got his head up, Rooney, looking for an option. Knight calls for it on the right wing and gets it. Works it back to Lowe. And Rooney again now in the centre circle. Just jinks the ball through to Max Bird. And yeah, Cardiff haven't touched the ball for 2 minutes, Sam Parkin.
No, it's a really good bit of play from Derby. Sibley's really impressing me, Dance. The positions he's taking up, just very intelligent off the back of rules or pack. He's always on the move, getting into little pockets of space and always wants to take it on his back foot, so he's driving towards goal. Every time he receives the ball, looks like a wonderful young player.
Now Rooney tries to hit a long ball downfield and it deflects off Lee Tomlin's backside, but Cardiff win it back straight away. Chris Martin looks to lay it off for Jason Knight. Now Tom Lawrence. Lawrence looks square for Max Bird, gets away from him, but Lowe will pick it up on the far side of the field. Cardiff did get a touch of the ball, but it was only Lee Tomlin's rear end that got a touch of it. And Rooney has it once more inside his own half now for Derby County. Being watched by Mendes, Lang and Tomlin. Threads a neat pass through to the centre circle and Bird, who spins away from Glatzel. Rooney again, the quarterback, hits a diagonal ball out for Craig Forsyth on this near side, who nods it down for Tom Lawrence. He gives it back to Forsyth, midway point of the Cardiff half. Tom Lawrence again, steps in field, 30 yards out, plays it square to Max Lowe. Knight calling for it on the right hand side, gives it back to Lowe. Cardiff just can't get in the game at the moment. Here's Lawrence. It's given away then by Lawrence. Hoylett tries to take it away. Nelson just clips it over halfway, asking Glatzel to give chase. But Rose outside of his box will take a touch and flick it left for Matt Clark. What a difference a goal makes, Sam Parkin.
Yeah, they're purring now, aren't they? Derby County. Cardiff can't get anywhere near the ball. You know, this is not unusual. Maybe under the previous manager, Neil Warnock, they'd give up, obviously, a lot of possession to the opposition and play on the counter. But you can see Neil Harris looking a little bit concerned because they've not been anywhere near the ball, and you can see the Derby players playing with a lot of freedom and confidence and always looking to play forward. Wayne Rooney, Tom Lawrence play into those little half spaces in between midfield and defence, and getting Sibley and Knight on the ball at will at the moment.
Martin, lovely touch again on halfway to keep the ball away from Pack. And here's Bird now for Derby. Sibley tries to give it back to Pack, forced him to run away towards the halfway line and just take it away from Glatzel. Now Davis plays a real strong pass into the feet of Chris Martin, who couldn't control it, and Cardiff have it back. Yeah, Neil Harris spent his birthday on Sunday watching Leeds beat Swansea, one of Cardiff's rivals for a playoff spot, with that late Pablo Hernandez goal that you heard on TalkSport 2. And Cardiff under pressure again. It's 1-1. Here's Lawrence for Derby County, left hand side of the area. Oh, good defending by Bakuna. Lawrence tried to take it past him and move inside, but Bakuna watched the ball all the way and stuck his foot in. 1-1, 9 to half time.
I mean, all this possession, it does breed confidence within the players. They'll be feeling good about themselves, but they need the victory tonight, so you have to have something on the end of it. And I think that's down to Lawrence, it's not down to Sibley to make runs beyond Martin. They've linked with him relatively well in the last few moments, but everything's coming back and then it's going sideways. They need people to make penetrating runs behind the front player. That's what's going to hurt Cardiff City. Yes, they're on the ropes, but there's not been enough on Smithies' goal to warrant Derby being ahead in this game.
1-1 here. Let's check in with our reporters around the ground to the other 7:45 kickoffs. As the ball, just stop that for a moment because the ball's sent forward for Hoylett, but it's through to Rose, who's claimed it. How have QPR reacted to going 1-0 down at Luton Town? Here's TalkSport 2's Tony Incenzo.
It's still Luton 1, QPR 0. Rangers have had a spell of possession, shots from outside the box by Bright Asai, Samuel, Eze and Chair, all going close, but really Luton looking good value for their lead. James Collins scoring from the penalty spot, his 13th goal of the season on 19 minutes. It's Luton 1. Crucial 3 points this will be for Luton. Luton 1, QPR 0.
Cardiff in possession just shy of the halfway line. It's 1-1 here. To the Den next on TalkSport 2. Jordan Jarrett Bryan.
Yes, it's Millwall 1, Blackburn 0, but since that Millwall goal, Blackburn have definitely come back into the game, dominating possession without really harming the Millwall goal. The Millwall back three, which is seamlessly transitioning into a back five, is keeping out the Blackburn attack. Any width that's being caused by the Blackburn attackers is being snuffed out by Millwall's back five. So great 3 points here if they can hang on to half-time here. But at the moment, it's Millwall 1, Blackburn 0, 35 gone.
And let's get to Hillsborough. Any sign of a breakthrough there? TalkSport 2's Alan Biggs.
Yeah, there is actually. Sheffield Wednesday 0, Huddersfield 0. The game has come to life. Most notably, the home team have Moses Odubajo cutting in with a good run from the right. Left foot shot, fiercely struck. Jonas Losel beat it out. Good save from the Huddersfield keeper. Then Windass and Odubajo linked up. Odubajo should have picked out Luongo right in front of an empty goal. He failed to do it. Sheffield Wednesday 0, Huddersfield 0.
It's Cardiff 1, Derby 1 here at the Cardiff City Stadium. Ian Danter and Sam Parkin with you. Lee Tomlin looks out to the left-hand side for Junior Hoylett, just inside the area, clips the ball in, looking for Glatzel. Important header out by Curtis Davis for Derby County. Hoylett has it again, 30 yards out, works it infield to Joe Rawls. Rawls is looking for a stab pass through to Tomlin inside the area, but it's going to drift over the dead ball line. It's well marshalled by Jason Knight, and that goes behind for a Derby County goal kick with 5.5 minutes plus added time to the break. It's one apiece.
It feels like Derby have had the ball for 20 minutes or so, but just shows you that with the game still finely poised, with Mendes-Lang and Hoylett in particular, if you can transition the ball to them quickly, you're going to cause any team at this level problems, and Derby will have to continue to be wary of that. For all the possession, once again they've not had enough shots on Alex Smithy's goal.
Ball sent forward by Keller Rose, looking for Chris Martin. Might break here for Jason Knight. Played a good 1-2 with Max Lowe for Derby. Now moves into the Cardiff half, down the inside right channel. Lowe gets it off him, but has to send the ball back under pressure to Curtis Davis on halfway. Davis, who's made a raft of substitute appearances since restart. This is his first start tonight since lockdown. Curtis Davis. George Evans has been playing at centre-half in recent weeks for Derby County, in the absence of first-choice centre-halves. And a crossfield pass goes straight out of play for a Cardiff throw, taken by Bakuna, midway point of his own half. Works it back to Sean Morrison. First time ball back to his keeper Smithies. An early ball for the other centre-half, Nelson, who's under pressure from Sibley. It was a high press from Derby County. They try and win the header on halfway through Davis, but it's picked up by Tomlin, moving well into the Derby half of the field. Oh, lovely run by Tomlin. He's got to the edge of the area, tries to drive, and it's blocked by Matt Clark. A fully 50-yard run from Lee Tomlin, rolling back the years, but the shot was blocked and just bobbled through to Keller Roos. One apiece.
Yeah, wonderful stuff from Tomlin, slaloming away from challenges. Unfortunately, he faced Clark in the end, who's defending expertly.
Well, here he's again trying to loft the ball into the area for the onrushing Mendes-Lang, but again, Derby do just enough, and it's cleared away downfield. Picked up by Chris Martin. Bird back to the edge of his own area, Matt Clark, and now Rooney just calmly, casually strokes it to Curtis Davis. Never looks in any hurry, does Rooney.
Now they've got some good technical players. Just thinking if Lee Tomlin is up against any different Derby defender as the last man now, I think he gets in. But Matt Clark's at the top of his game at the moment, doesn't dive in, bides his time and makes certainly a shot-saving challenge. Potentially that could have been Cardiff second.
The run from Tomlin was
wonderful, yeah.
Gascoigne-esque. That sort of run from halfway, drifting past players.
Yeah.
Super to watch, but it didn't bring anything. And he's just moving a little awkwardly, Tomlin. I'm not sure whether that run's done him a bit of an injury. He's just was holding his right thigh. We're back underway on TalkSport 2. We've got 2.5 minutes plus added time to the break. Maybe that extraordinary run and block shot might have taken something out of Cardiff's creative number 17. Bennett works the ball in field to Rawls. Tomlin says give it to Bakuna, but Tomlin's been given the ball in the centre of the Derby half, and he was fouled by Lawrence, and Tomlin gets up and has a rueful look at Tom Lawrence before he walks away. That's a free kick for Cardiff in the middle of the Derby half, and he's definitely holding his right hamstring there, Lee Tomlin. I'm not sure whether he's going to want some treatment for this, but he's bent over, Sam Parkin, and holding his right hamstring as he does so.
Yeah, I thought you were being kind to him, Dan. I thought he was just getting a breather after that lung-busting run, but yeah, I'd be very surprised if he's pulled anything there, because you'd be straight off, wouldn't you, with the circumstances as they are. Looks like he's okay to continue.
Free kick. Cardiff have it with Joe Rawls, right-hand corner of the area, works it further right for Mendes-Lang. His cross is cleared on the volley by the left boot of Wayne Rooney. Drops for Pack. Pack just ahead of the centre circle. Finds Mendes-Lang on this near side, the Cardiff right. Thought about a cross level with the edge of the area. Comes in field. Then hits a ball over to the far left-hand side where Joe Bennett's got space. Chance to measure a ball in. Just plays a 1-2 with Hoylett. Lovely run from Bennett. He runs out of room at the dead ball line and couldn't work the ball in for a cross. It just ends up being a goal kick for Derby County. Not for the first time. Cardiff players moving into the Derby area at speed, but running out of room before they can get the cross in, Sam Parker.
Yeah, a couple of times we've seen that from Joe Bennett, and Knight actually committed himself on the far side.
Oh, given away again by Derby inside their own half, but Glatzel running into the penalty area, runs into the sturdy frame of Curtis Davis, and Derby have it back. One apiece if you're just tuning into TalkSport 2 here at the Cardiff City Stadium. Dreadful error allowed Junior Hoylett to put Cardiff in front early in the piece, but a terrific sweeping move involving Martin, Sibley, and then finally Jason Knight, whose back pass led to the Cardiff goal, got Derby County level on half an hour, and we're into the last minute of normal time here in South Wales in this first half, plus at least a couple of minutes to add on for the obligatory drinks break. Keller Roos has possession, the Derby keeper. Passes out to Matt Clark, faced up by Tomlin. And now Max Bird coming deep into his own penalty area to receive the ball from Roos. Now Clark again gets his head up and chips the ball up, looking for Louis Sibley on halfway. And we're into 3 minutes of added time at the end of this first half on TalkSport 2. 1-1 between Cardiff City and Derby County. And it's half-time at Kenilworth Road. Quickly to Tony and Chenzo.
Yeah, half-time, Luton 1, QPR 0. Luton forging ahead on 19 minutes in this crucial game in their battle against relegation. James Collins converting from the penalty spot, his 13th goal of the season. That came after QPR defender Ryan Manning tripped James Bree in the box. Just after that, almost 2-0, Collins crossed for Elliot Lee, who slid inches wide from close range. As for Rangers, some decent possession. Asai, Samuel, Eze and Chair all mustering good shots from outside the box, but it's Luton 1, QPR 0.
Forsyth for Derby County. 1-1 here in stoppage time on TalkSport 2. Tom Lawrence picks it up for the Rams, has to go back to Clark, and now Davis back out to the right hand side and Max Lowe. Davis has it once again, gets the ball out in front of his feet and hits a diagonal ball looking for Chris Martin. He'll win the flick header, but it was well dealt with by Bakuna, and he lobs it downfield over the head of Rooney for Mendes-Lang, who's in a foot race with Rooney. He's easily got the better of him. Glatzel has the ball back to goal, finds Lee Tomlin, lovely first time ball. Hoylett drives it goalwards, brilliant save by Rose, driven back goalwards by Mendes-Lang. This blocked away by Clark, comes to the edge of the box and Bird gets it clear. Hoylett very nearly getting a second, but a super save from Keller Roos, but the danger's not gone yet. Bakuna for Cardiff sends a cross in, headed away by Curtis Davis. Now Joe Bennett looks for Tomlin. Tomlin takes 2 or 3 touches but turns into trouble, and it's brought away for Derby by Louis Sibley. Sibley drifts past Marlon Pack, threads it through for Tom Lawrence, who's trying to burst through the middle. Lawrence lays it right. Chris Martin's inside the area, has to take a touch, tries to work the ball left for a shot. Martin gets the driver and then it's blocked away. Chances up both ends, and Keller Roos made a terrific save initially to deny Hoylett a second, Sam Parkin.
Terrific stuff at both ends. Cardiff worked it brilliantly. Derby in trouble as soon as Mendes-Lang gets in a race with Wayne Rooney, but then Glatzel, Tomlin, perfect execution of the passing. Hoylett foiled by Roos down to his left, and then a brilliant Derby move at the other end. Sibley, the architect, once more. Chris Martin just can't get the strike away.
But it's still 1-1. Rooney for Derby, looking for Forsyth on the left-hand side, but Mendes-Lang doing his defensive duties, lofts the ball clear, and then Clark just lets it go back via a header to his keeper Roos. We've played 2.5 minutes of the minimum 3. Darren Bond takes a look at his watch. One last chance for Derby maybe to get the ball forward, but the referee I think is going to say that's enough. Indeed it is. Bang on the 3 minutes, and we are all square in this crucial playoff encounter at the Cardiff City Stadium. Cardiff, remember, starting the night in the last playoff place, had the lead after about a quarter of an hour when Derby midfielder Jason Knight tried to send the ball back to his goalkeeper, didn't spot Junior Hoylett, who seized on the ball inside the box, rounded Keller Roos and slammed the ball into the back of the net from a tight angle to put Cardiff City in front. But Derby were level on the half hour. A ball up to halfway, brilliantly flicked by Chris Martin into the path of Louis Sibley, who ran on for 20 or 30 yards and then unselfishly slipped the ball to his right for Jason Knight, the man whose back pass set up Cardiff's goal, to take a touch and fire it past Smithies to bring Derby County level. Derby have had large swathes of possession as well, and you just heard those two chances for either side right at the end of the half. Hoylett denied by Rose, and then a block shot by Chris Martin at the other end. This is set up very nicely for the second half in South Wales. At the break, it's Cardiff City 1, Derby County 1.
Ian, thank you very much indeed. A big game and a really good first half of football, Sam, and Cardiff deservedly going into an early lead.
Yeah, been a great half, really enjoyed it. Cardiff started like a train. I thought Derby showed them far too much respect. They stood off them, and Cardiff were encouraged by that and played more than maybe I anticipated. Some nice intricate stuff, and even though the goal was a mistake, it was fully warranted at that stage. A poor back pass and well finished off by Junior Hoylett.
Goal is a goal is a goal. But then Derby woke up, didn't they? Jason Knight, who atoned for the mistake that led to the Hoylett opener for Cardiff City. It was a wonderful team goal, wasn't it? And an equaliser, 1-1.
And it took that really, Russ, because at that stage I thought Cardiff were in charge, and that kind of ignited the Derby team. And wonderful team goal, as you said. We spoke about Chris Martin before the game. Matt Clark, give him credit for not only the way he's defending that first half, but starting that move as well. Cool, calm when he was getting pressed, playing into Martin.